The self is one, indivisible. The multiplicity is merely an appearance created by the mind. Ramana Maharshi spoke these words, and they land now in this moment, not as something to understand, but as a mirror held up to what you have always been. Right now, you believe yourself to be many. The person reading these words, the person who woke this morning carrying yesterday's worries into today, the person who will lie down tonight with tomorrow's anxieties already forming, the successful version and the failed version, the spiritual seeker and the worldly participant, a crowd of selves, each one demanding attention, each one claiming authenticity, each one pulling you in different directions until there is only exhaustion. This bone-deep weariness from trying to hold fragments together, from negotiating between voices that never agree, from being torn apart by the mind's endless creation of division. But what if this exhaustion is not weakness? What if it is the first whisper of truth? The organism recognizing something false, something unsustainable, something that cannot possibly be the nature of existence itself. Look directly at this moment. Not at thoughts about this moment, but at the bare fact of being aware. There is seeing, there is hearing, there is sensation, breath, presence. And in this simple awareness, where is the division? Where is the multiplicity? Before the mind rushes in with labels and stories, before thought fragments the wholeness into knower and known, there is only this. One seamless field of being, indivisible, complete. The mind takes the single light of consciousness and projects upon it an entire universe of separation. It creates the observer and the observed. It creates the experiencer and what is experienced. It creates time, and within time births the you of yesterday drowning in regret, and the you of tomorrow trembling with hope or dread. It creates space, and within space draws boundaries between inside and outside, between self and world, between sacred and profane. This is the mind's genius and its curse. It cannot help but divide. Division is its nature, its function, its very substance. And then comes the most cunning move of all. The mind makes you believe that this multiplicity is the problem to be solved. It creates the seeker who must journey back to wholeness. It creates the broken one who must be healed. It creates the ignorant one who must attain knowledge. The separate fragment who must merge with the infinite. An entire spiritual drama unfolds where you, the divided, must travel vast distances to become what you have never ceased to be. Both the disease and the cure arise from the same source. Both the bondage and the path to liberation are creations of the dividing mind. This is where suffering lives, not in circumstances, not in physical pain or material lack, but in the fundamental belief of being a separate fragment in a universe of fragments. The agony of isolation, the terror of being a tiny, vulnerable consciousness adrift in an indifferent cosmos. The desperate, exhausting work of protecting this fragment, improving it, making it worthy, making it permanent, making it special enough to matter. Every moment spent maintaining the illusion of separation is a moment of contraction, of resistance, of fear rippling through the body-mind. Watch this mechanism in the simplest experiences. A thought appears, I am not enough. Pain floods the system immediately, but look at the architecture beneath this pain. There is an I being judged. There is a voice doing the judging. There is a standard measuring the inadequacy. There is an observer watching this entire drama unfold. 4, 5 separate entities, all seemingly real, all seemingly necessary. Yet, if you look without the mind's storytelling, there is only awareness and a thought passing through it like a cloud through empty sky. The thought has no inherent power. The mind gives it power through belief, through identification, through constructing this phantom multiplicity around a single movement of consciousness. Desire operates the same way. I want to be free. The mind splits the moment into a subject lacking freedom, and an object called freedom that must be attained. A gap opens, distance appears, a journey stretches out across imaginary time. The fullness of now becomes poisoned with incompleteness. The seeking itself becomes the barrier. The one who wants to arrive is the very reason arrival seems impossible. When inquiry arises with genuine fire, it does not seek answers in thoughts or concepts or new identities. Who am I is not a question looking for information. It is a sword cutting through every definition the mind has ever constructed. It meets I am this body and asks, who is aware of the body? It meets I am these thoughts and asks, who is aware of thinking? It meets I am these emotions and asks, who is aware of feeling? It even meets I am the seeker and asks, who is seeking? Layer after layer dissolves. Identity after identity reveals itself as movement in awareness, not awareness itself. The body appears in awareness. Thoughts float through awareness. Emotions surge and subside in awareness. Sensations, perceptions, the entire play of experience unfolds within awareness. But awareness itself does not appear. It cannot be objectified. It cannot be found as a thing among things. It is what remains when every appearance is seen through, when every layer of false identity burns away. This is the one constant in the midst of all change. It is indivisible because there is nothing outside it to create division. It is singular because there is no second thing. It is what you are, what you have always been, what you cannot stop being even for an instant. The mind cannot grasp this. The mind is the instrument of differentiation. Asking the mind to comprehend non-duality is like asking a knife to heal. The knife can only cut. The mind can only divide, compare, create subject and object, knower and known, self and other, me and the truth I am trying to realize. This is why seeking can continue for lifetimes without resolution. The seeker uses the very tool that creates the illusion to try to dispel it. But there is something prior to mind, the simple fact of being, the undeniable presence existing before thought names it, claims it, divides it into experiencer and experience. This presence is not something you can find, because it is what is looking. You cannot step outside it to verify it. You cannot achieve it through effort, because effort implies a future, and presence is now. You cannot lose it because there is nowhere outside awareness to go. The multiplicity you experience is like waves believing themselves separate from the ocean. Each wave has unique form, height, character. Each wave rises and falls, appears and disappears. If a wave could think, it might believe itself an isolated entity, struggling to survive, competing with other waves, fearing its inevitable dissolution. But the wave is never separate from the ocean. It is made entirely of ocean. Its rising is ocean rising. Its falling is ocean falling. Its apparent individuality is ocean temporarily taking a particular form. You are not a wave trying to become the ocean. You are the ocean appearing as a wave, and the sense of being separate arises entirely from thought. The thought, I am this particular person with this particular history and this particular future, creates the feeling of being a fragment. But this thought itself appears in the vast ocean of awareness. It is made of awareness. It has no existence apart from awareness. It cannot actually divide awareness any more than a wave can divide the ocean. See this directly, not as a concept to believe, but as the living reality of now. Right now, thoughts appear and disappear. Sensations arise and pass. Sounds come and go. But the awareness in which all this appears remains unchanged, untouched, whole. It is not affected by content any more than a mirror is affected by what it reflects. The mirror does not fragment when reflecting a crowd. The mirror remains whole, pristine, singular. This is what you are, not the thoughts about yourself, not the emotional states flowing through, not the roles played or identities worn. not even the sense of being a seeker on a path. All of these are appearances in awareness. All of these are the mind's creation of multiplicity. But you, the awareness in which everything appears, have never been divided. Not for a single instant. Liberation is not an event in time where fragmentation becomes wholeness. It is the recognition, here and now, that fragmentation was only ever an appearance. The rope was never a snake. The mirage was never water. The multiplicity was never real. What changes is not reality, but the seeing of it. Misidentification falls away. Belief in separation dissolves, and what remains is what has always been, the one indivisible self. This recognition does not make you special. It does not make you superior to those still seeking, still suffering, still believing in separation. It is the end of specialness, the end of the separate self wanting to be more evolved, more awakened, more realized than others. All of these are just more divisions, more multiplicity, more mind-created distinctions with no reality in what you actually are. When this is seen clearly, tremendous relief floods through the system. The burden of maintaining a separate self drops away. The exhausting project of becoming something other than what you are comes to an end. The fear arising from believing yourself a vulnerable fragment in a dangerous universe dissolves. Not because the world becomes safe, but because the one who was afraid is recognized as an appearance, not a reality. Life continues, thoughts continue, actions continue. The body moves, speaks, engages. But there is no longer the sense of a separate entity inside pulling strings, making decisions, suffering consequences. There is just the spontaneous flow of existence, undivided, whole, complete. What appears as your individual life is the self in motion, consciousness playing in the field of its own awareness. This is not a state to achieve. States come and go. This is not an experience to attain. Experiences arise and pass. This is what you are before any state, before any experience, before the mind creates the appearance of multiplicity. It is so simple, so obvious, so ordinary that the mind overlooks it completely. The mind seeks something extraordinary, something complex, something that will validate years of searching. But what you are is simpler than simplicity itself. Stop. Right now. Stop the mental movement toward future understanding. Stop seeking. Stop effort. And notice what remains. Not what you think remains, but what actually remains when thinking quiets, even for a moment. This presence, this awareness, this being. It has no qualities because it is prior to all qualities. It has no boundaries because there is nothing outside it to create a boundary. It is one because there is no second. The multiplicity will continue to appear. Thoughts will still claim to be a separate self. Emotions will still move through the body. The world will still present itself as a collection of separate objects. But these appearances no longer have power to convince, to seduce, to trap. They are recognized as the play of consciousness, the self expressing itself in infinite forms while remaining forever formless, forever indivisible, forever whole. Let this sink deeper than thought. Let it penetrate the very sense of being itself, not as a belief to hold, but as a recognition that cannot be unseen, once truly seen. The separate self you have taken yourself to be is a phantom, a shadow, an appearance created by the mind's movement. But you, the awareness prior to all movement, have never been divided. You are whole. You are complete. You are the self, singular and indivisible, playing the game of multiplicity while remaining forever one. In this recognition, the question, "Who am I?" finally dissolves. Not because an answer has been found, but because the questioner is seen through. The one who asks is made of the same illusory substance as everything it questions. When the questioner disappears, what remains is not knowledge, but being itself. Pure, undivided, infinite being, no longer trying to understand itself through the mind's fragmenting lens, no longer seeking to become what it already is, simply resting as itself, in itself, recognizing itself in every appearance, while remaining untouched by any appearance. This is the end of seeking, the end of the spiritual journey, the end of becoming, not because something has been achieved, but because the one who would achieve has been seen as unreal. The wave realizes it was always ocean. The dream character realizes it was always the dreamer. The fragment realizes it was always the whole, merely believing itself separate through the mind's enchantment. And in this seeing, there is unspeakable peace, not the peace of a quiet mind, though the mind may quiet. Not the peace of pleasant circumstances, though circumstances may be pleasant, but the peace of knowing yourself as that which cannot be disturbed, cannot be divided, cannot be lost. The peace of the self recognizing itself as it has always been. One, indivisible, eternal, free.